Hello, I'm Vinarva and I'm back with another episode of Tuesday Talks presented by Abir Pothi. Today we have Shelly Mehta with us. Shelly is a Mumbai based visual artist. Hello, Shelly.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Minerva. I'm looking forward to this conversation with you.
We're more than happy to have you. Can you just brief us about what your artistic practice?
I'm primarily a painter, but I also work a lot with drawing and I work with oil on canvas, but also watercolor on paper. And my sort of main point of reference or main point of engagement is how I can render the feminine and the various languages in which I can do that. So the most recognizable or the most uh, sort of comfortable approach for me is to use figuration. But I've also recently started to think about how the feminine can be rendered in abstract forms as well. And I tend to create my figures with a sense of heaviness, a sense of woundedness, awkwardness, because I think I'm trying to create a parallel between femininity and wildness and disorderliness. So I think I like to kind of introduce these ruptures and these imperfect elements to speak towards that notion.
That sounds interesting. I'd love to let this unfold while we talk more about it. What drew you to visual art? Was there a specific moment or influence that took you to this path?
I don't think there was a specific moment. I would say I have a very cliched story when it comes to my relationship with art. I mean, I was always drawing and painting as a kid, and uh, it's something that I just kind of stuck to for a very long time, and I kept doing it until now, basically. And thankfully, I had a very good, supportive circle of family and friends who because I think that is needed in the arts. Otherwise, it can feel quite lonely. So it was really good to have them encourage me and support me, and help me get a formal education in the arts as well. So I think, yeah, unfortunately, to sound like a cliche, it's come quite naturally, I would say.
Not really, but I mean, it's very nice to have, a supportive supportive people around you, especially when you want to pursue visual arts, I think, because
Yeah.
still there is this stigma around pursuing visual arts. But I think we are slowly getting out of it, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And yeah, that's really hopeful and nice actually to think of it that way. I definitely see more and more people quite comfortable with pursuing it with like lesser obstacles. So that's really great.
What are you creating currently? What's happening at your studio space?
I'm currently, well, I just had a solo, and after that, I decided to take a little break to refill myself, as I would like to put it, because I really feel like I poured myself out in that solo. I'm recently starting to now think of another body of work, also paintings, and thinking about the idea of water and water based terrains such as caves and grottos, more specifically grottos, because I feel like there's such an interesting history there, their relationship to the word grotesque, and how they refer to this eerie, unknown, wondrous sort of presence of creatures, and trying to kind of create a relationship with that to the disorderly feminine language. And, if I can sort of create some sort of a world where these notions meet together. So, still very much resolving these thoughts, but that's something I'm working on. Another thing that I've been thinking about is metal casting. So, that's something I recently tried out and was very excited by, and I really want to continue that. So, I just started with sand casted brass, and now I want to move into lost wax casting. So, using it to create frames for the worlds that I'm building and how I can use this very industrial, domestic material like brass to create something completely organic and abstracted. That's something that really interests me.
I think you've made a small jump from, these acrylic watercolors and, a big jump to now you're getting onto glass and metal. How do you connect with
Uh,
different mediums now that you have started working with brass and earlier you're working with paints? So how's it going and how is that transition for you?
I think it's less of a transition, I would say, and more of an addition. So I'm still very much with my oils on canvas and my watercolors and my drawings. And this is just a sort of added language that is helping me communicate better, you know. And it's always nice to have that. It's always nice as an artist to exploit that, where he can actually where it's like so easy not to limit yourself to one medium, but instead to open up that box and to see what other tools are to your disposal. Definitely very excited, and it's interesting how they feed into each other. I mean, the way the brass molds itself is really feeding into my language in drawing as well. And it's interesting to see that something like metal, which is uh, perceived as so rigid and strong and is actually very malleable, and it melts as well, and it takes the form that you please it for it to. So it's an interesting conversation between the two materials.
It's great. What inspires you, just like you said that you just finished a solo show in the recent past. Now you're kind of exploring water and caves. So, then what inspires you in your practice?
I think lately it's become very clear to me that all things non-human really inspire me. And I think what inspires me about that is that it makes me reflect on how much more of our environments exist inside of us than we are aware of. You know, we think of ourselves as these separate entities from our ecologies, our surroundings, but actually we are literally made of them. And this idea of embodiment is so interesting to me in the within the idea of femininity, because it makes you think of how the feminine is also exploited in the same way as the ecologies around us are, and both are modes of gestation. Both are world building mechanisms, like whether it's the creative power, whether it's the feminine in terms of reproduction, whether it's the feminine in terms of the sheer idea of creation. Like all of these ideas very much exist in nature as much as they exist within the female body. And so these are the things that really compel me. And I actively look for, readings on stuff like this. So, for example, right now, a really good friend of mine suggested a reading to me about hydrofeminism, where this writer is comparing the water cycle in the environment to the water cycle in the body. And things like this. So I guess even like animals and, for example, the mangrove plant and how it reproduces is very similar to how human beings reproduce, or that they are like red underneath their bark, and things which these sort of odd, strange relationships between human and non-human really inspire me.
That's interesting. Usually, when you paint or, produce works, how do you want viewers to your art? Do you like giving them a direct message or do you prefer giving them a hint of what you're trying to communicate? So,
Right.
how does that go for you?
I think especially when there's a figure involved, it does get a little bit more easier to communicate an action forward. It's an act of sitting alone and looking at your own hands, or if it's an act of helping someone up a wall, or an act of taking a walk. I mean, these are things that we all resonate with. So I think as long as viewers can take a moment to register the importance of these acts of care, I think that's enough for me. I don't need them to, understand the whole narrative or understand the whole sort of the amount of time I spent in, creating whatever I did. I think it's really just about paying attention. And I mean, I do believe my paintings are a call to pay attention and a call to slow down and really look. If that's done, then I feel like I've communicated or I've successfully expressed whatever I needed.
How do you define your relationship with your art? Has it changed over the year, or if it has evolved in any way? Can you brief us or share that journey with us?
I think you are an artist yourself, so you know how your relationship to art and your art both remain ever evolving. And for me as well, it's not just been about like the practice in isolation, but rather thinking about the practice as something that very much exists as part of your life and how these two are very much connected. So I think initially I would think of my painting practice as something, okay, it's in the studio, this is what I do, and I have to give it SYP hours, I have to refine this part of it, etc. But now I see it very much integrated as a part of my life, and I feel if I'm talking about a relationship to the non-human, I'm as accountable and responsible to honor the non-human in my real life. So whether that how I think about animals or how I spend time with nature, with more care and with more attention and less as something that exists. I mean, I said this before. Less is something that exists at a boundary with me, but something that is way more permeable. And all of this is thanks to the fact that I have been working in my practice on these same issues, and they both feed into each other. So I think I would say that I've allowed my practice to be more permeable with my life, and that's how my relationship has evolved and is in the direction of evolving. I mean, that's an aspiration. It's still in negotiation with something like that.
I think it's going to be this way. I think as long as you decide to be an artist.
That's 100%.
Okay. What does your creative process looks like? Are there any rituals which you tend to follow, or
I think rituals is like the perfect word because I feel I'm the counter to the chaotic artist, the sort of all over the place artist. I've actually really, really organized and I really like to be on time at the studio and for my workstation to be completely clean. And I certainly, there are days where I have like full on plans about how I'm going to spend my time. I very much treat it as a ritual and with the same sort of sometimes even ceremonial behavior towards my practice where when I'm about to start painting, I'll have like certain things that I do, if even if it's like putting on that perfect song or putting my phone in the other room and small things that just get me a little bit more in the flow, in the zone. But other than the studio, I feel like there are so many things that contribute to the process. For example, just now I was talking about taking a pause and taking a break. And I really have, again, that's something that goes back to how my relationship with art has evolved. I really feel it's so important to have that break, to not make, to not create for some time, and to really let like the world seep into you and to allow for new ideas to come in, and whether that's out of boredom or just out of being idle. So the process is uh, really going in that rhythm, like giving like 6 months of crazy studio time and then taking a few months off and then going into it again. But the few months off are as well not really few months off because you're still writing about it or you're still, looking at galleries, you're still looking at art. And it's just so much more liberating than thinking of yourself as this entity that must exist in a certain format. Yes, I think the process is becoming more fluid as time goes by.
what's one piece of advice you'd like to offer to the young artists who are just, starting off in the visual art space?
I would say that really hold close to you your peers if you are lucky enough to have a mentor. I mean, I really feel that community is so important, and peer to peer review more than anything else is really, really precious. And that's something that when I was in college, I enjoyed a lot. And then once I was out of it, it suddenly disappeared because that's something I had to seek out. It didn't exist for me naturally. So I would say that just have those sound boarding people, the people who are just, just someone who you can like have a very honest conversation with about your art. Otherwise, you're just creating in a bubble. And it's important to like have relevant, resonant conversations, right? Like, especially with fellow creatives. So, yeah, that, and I would say like these are the people who will probably help you navigate the mysterious, sometimes very trappy art world and the commercial parts of it. So every day I thank these people around me who keep me sane. So yeah, that would be my one advice.
That's so sweet. Really. Whose work inspires you, whether it's a master or a peer or somebody completely out of this visual world?
I know I definitely have, like, there are some artists that have been inspiring me for a very long time now. And if we are talking about masters, I would say Bhupen Thakkar is definitely one. I mean, he was a pioneer in so many ways, depicting queer relationships and, creating a sort of figuration truly of his own. So he's been a sort of solid constant. Other than that, there's artists like Sosa Joseph, again, whose figuration is so beautiful. Marlene Dumas, again, for her use of medium, especially watercolors. And Michael Armitage, who's a London-based artist. And Sakshi Gupta, she works a lot with metal. So she's turned out to be like an inspiration as I've started to venture into metal. And then there are some performance artists as well. Fajal Shah is one who's been a constant again. So yeah, many contemporaries, masters, it's like.
That sounds great. One of the last question is, what keeps you busy when you're not creating, when you're not in your studio? So what's the
Hmm.
thing you do?
Well, given the fact that I'm really trying to integrate everything right now, things are really falling into all categories. But I think what would keep me busy is probably spending time with friends and family, and really just sort of as much as I can with dogs and cats as well. um, any kind of venturing out into the wild. So even if it's a long trek or a walk or traveling, just as much as I can interact with nature is sort of where I'm at right now. And this is again something I just don't consider outside of the practice. I very much consider it part of it. Um,
Nice. I think as an artist, even I can relate, spending time with nature is such an
yeah,
integral part of, I think it is a part of practice itself.
exactly.
I feel it just kind of slows you down, it's just kind of an escape from the usual rush and
Yeah.
these daily.
And there's so much to learn. I think it's like the greatest teacher.
And I feel sometimes I feel like nature is such a complex thing which way I don't think so humans can ever comprehend that. I don't
Yeah,
like it's something
absolutely.
way out of our brains, I feel sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's a sort of alternate intelligence which we can only try to be at par with, but I feel like we'll never truly, like you said, comprehend it.
Great. Thank you so much, Sherry,
Thank
for
you.
coming on and giving such an insightful interview. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
great
you.
having this
Thank you for having
conversation. Thank you. Bye.
me. All right. Bye.